Hi, I'm Richard Schickel. I wrote and directed the film you're about to see. It's a sample of a longer film about Clint Eastwood, The Eastwood Factor, that'll be in stores in a few months. I also wrote a book about Clint that's available now. I've known Clint for 35 years, but last summer we did something that we'd never thought to do before. We wandered the Warner lot, collecting Clint's reminiscences of his many years making films at the studio. I think it's a unique and unprecedented, really very intimate view of one of the great icons of our era.
Hi. What's up? I always liked the studio. Warner Brothers had great history. I went over there several times during the 50s to do some television shows. It was always nice. There was something small, a little more homey about it.
Warner Brothers moved onto the lot in 1928. On this stage, it made many of the movies Clint loved as a kid.
When I was first acting and I was doing a lot of bit parts, the guys would call you in, the head of the acting group or producers would say, well, come on in and play it with balls. You know, they say, play it ballsy. And I'd go, I didn't even know what they were talking about.
But he learned. Starring on TV's Rawhide for 7 seasons. He made his feature film name as the so-called man with no name in 3 spaghetti westerns.
Oh, shit.
He was already an authentic star when he made Dirty Harry in 1971. But that picture, his first at Warner Brothers, made him a permanent superstar.
Like most pictures that I've done, I've had no idea whether anybody would ever want to see them. But I figured I'd like to see it. If I hadn't played in it, I'd like to see it with somebody else, so I just kind of went from it from that angle.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Action in those days was almost everything.
God damn it, there isn't supposed to be any shooting.
Nothing wrong with shooting. All the right people get shot.
That's it, Callahan. Give me your star.
There's a 7-point suppository, Captain.
What did you say?
I said stick it in your ass.
Hey, lady! Okay, come on, you guys, hurry up!
You forgot your fortune cookie.
What?
It says you're shit out of luck. Go ahead. Make my day.
I bounced back and forth in the early 70s and would do something for Universal, and then finally in 1976, I had the Outlaw Josie Wales. I brought that over to Frank Wells. He'd been lobbying me for quite some time to come over there on a permanent basis. So I just said, well, show me that permanent basis, I'm coming over. So it was a one-day move. Been there ever since.
Josie was a peaceable farmer when his family was murdered by Civil War border raiders. He's a lonely, hunted, bitter man, a classic Western hero, as he lights out for the territory. But slowly, a surrogate family gathers around him and heals him, The rescue and restoration of shattered families has been one of Clint's great themes ever since.
I'm looking for Josie Wales.
That'd be me. You a bounty hunter?
Man's got to do something for a living these days.
Dying ain't much of a living, boy.
I had to come back.
I know.
You're all alone now, Wales.
Not quite alone.
All the costumes from all of Clint's movies, maybe 20,000 of them, are stored on the lot. His longtime costume supervisor is Deborah Hopper.
Howdy. Good, good. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Do these look familiar to you?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
You can't forget Dirty Harry.
No.
Everybody loves Dirty Harry.
Rack clothes, yeah.
Yes, and the soulful Unforgettable.
Unforgiven. It's unforgettable, though. So
You're right.
it was unforgettable for me.
This is where all the treasures lie, Clint. This is your closet
I see.
with all of your clothes from the movies. And this is from Play Misty for Me.
Yeah. That's the first picture I ever directed.
Yeah, that was a great one.
1970. How many years ago was that?
Just a
39, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's enough. That's going back far enough. And this guy here, who is this
Must
guy?
be a friend of yours.
It's like some sort of deviant. Okay.
You never know what you're going to find in here.
All righty.
Clint shoots more on locations than at the studio, but there are notable exceptions.
So, this is New York Street, as it was in the old days. We had Diane Benora up there in the window looking out. Okay, well, just pull right in, a little more. Come here, Thunder. Whoops. Ooh. Forrest Whitaker out here on a white horse. This was the film Bird, and we emulated New York.
This was a passion project for Clint, the biography of his musical hero, Charlie Parker.
Where are we going?
Now, what's her name didn't ask Valentino no questions like that?
Vilma Banky, and he had her in front of him, and she was in a swoon. Woo!
He seemed to be somewhat possessed. I don't know whether it was insecurity or being blessed with a certain talent that frustrated him, and or whatever, or being having an interracial relationship at that particular time in history might have been very difficult too. And this is in the 40s. I like jazz players because they were doing something that wasn't obviously commercial. The people were playing for themselves. And if you wanted to listen, fine. If you didn't, that's fine too. It wasn't as show busy like pop music is now, where there's lights and costumes and a lot of things that were very important to the act besides the music. They just stood up and performed.
The sources of Bird's greatness and self-destructiveness was a mystery to Clint, and the source of the film's resonance.
Bird, of course, went in from alcoholism into drugs. So these guys, they just let the temptations of life take them off the trail of their talent. You think of all the people who have had talent and knack for something and didn't follow through with it. That's kind of where the crime comes in. I guess there's always that thing in the back of your mind is, do I really know how to do this? I guess you could say the same about actors. If they haven't acted for a long time, they'd walk into a scene and you wonder, do I still know what I'm doing here? Charlie Parker, a guy who is that brilliant, has a great knack, and he's self-destruct rather than enjoying the fruit of the labor, so to speak.
Very nice, Charlie. Very nice.
1992's Unforgiven was Clint's first fully acknowledged masterpiece. Like most of his films, it was based in a well-established genre.
Sounds good. 600, take one.
But like all Clint's best films, it transcended genre limits, expanding their traditional topics.
I tried to do some rewrites on Unforgiven with David Peoples, and he said, fine. He was just anxious to have it made because it had been sitting around for many years. He said, go ahead, anything you want to do with it. And so I started writing and fooling with things and changing things, and all of a sudden I realized I was wrecking it. So I called him up and I said, forget what I said about that. I said, I'm just going to shoot it the way it is. Unforgiven really talked about the regret of violence. What's it like for anybody all of a sudden look back on it one day and you say, what the hell have I done? You know, what the hell have I been involved with? It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got and all he's ever gonna have.
Yeah. Well, I guess they had it coming.
We all have it coming, kid.
548, take one. Mark?
Look down there, look down at him. You can't believe it. Just look back over at me.
Cowardly son of a bitch, you just shot an unarmed man.
Well, he should have armed himself. He's gonna decorate his saloon with my friend.
You'd be William Mundy out of Missouri. Killer women and children.
That's right. I've killed women and children. Killed just about everything that walks or crawled at one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, little Bill. For what you did to Ned.
Like that. Unforgiven would be a great one to be the last Western for me because it captured the imagination of audiences, and film critics liked it, and everybody agreed it was a pretty good picture, and I don't know what else I'd have to say.
I don't deserve this. To die like this. I was building a house.
Clint has directed the majority of the movies he's made since 1955, 31 of them.
Okay, get ready and go. Directing and acting is much more difficult because you have to keep constantly switching in your brain. After you get something laid out, then you have to step in and go through it sort of half in the directing mind and half in the acting. And then at some point you've got to be able to switch the directing mind out of it and just do the shot. You can't, otherwise you can't be thinking about how this shot's working out as you're acting in it, or otherwise you're going to be driven crazy. Meryl Streep, when we worked together in Bridges in Madison County, she commented that she thought that I made that switch pretty well because she had worked with other actor-directors where she felt that they never stopped directing, even when they were in the scene. There's a little glint in the eye where they're looking at him differently than as the character's looking at him.
This scoring stage bears Clint's name. The studio was planning to shut it down, but Clint spoke up to rescue it and restore one of his favorite spaces on the lot. It's something he's very proud of having done.
Call it the Eastwood soundstage. And so then they told me that because of that, they restored the whole thing and they're back in business. And I told Ailey, I said, if I'd have known that, I'd have asked you to change the name on the tower too and put Eastwood Brothers. But it didn't quite work out that way. I didn't play it that far. But many of my films that were scored here, most of them, almost all of them, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased to throw in, if I just had a little bit to do with it, that's fine by me. We even did Mystic River here in the soundstage, and that kind of went like this.
This is one of Clint's most complex films, covering many decades and characters. The story begins with three kids playing on a Boston street.
Even though it's a tough subject matter, it was an easy film to make.
One of them is abducted and sexually abused.
I liked the book. It was a very visual book. I just saw it. I saw it in my mind. I liked the ironies in it. It just fell together kind of nicely. And the actors who read the stories all liked it. I mean, everybody, sometimes actors would call up and say, gee, I want to be in that picture. And I'd say, what part were you interested in? Any part.
The abducted child grows into Tim Robbins' ruined man. Another becomes Kevin Bacon's troubled detective. Sean Penn is a small-time criminal, now going straight, until tragedy strikes.
Then all of a sudden, the daughter's taken away from him through a tragic murder.
Hey! Hold on!
Is that my daughter in there? Is that my daughter in there? No! 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 Oh, God! Oh, God!
You're wasting your time. I told you I don't train girls.
Thought you might change your mind.
There's dozens of trainers who train girls. You won't have any trouble finding one.
Don't hardly need a dozen, boss. You'll do fine.
Don't call me boss now. I'm not your boss, and don't you be calling me that. Willie, you ready to work?
Anytime.
If I stop calling you boss, will you train me?
No.
Then I might as well just keep calling you it.
We started to do it. Everybody interpreted it as a woman's boxing movie, and my theory is it wasn't. It was a father-daughter love story, and that's the way I approached telling it.
Hilary Swank and Clint as director won their second Oscars for $1 Million Baby.
They were people on the edge of society in this broken-down little gym, but and somehow she becomes something. She becomes something, and he becomes something with her. The father that she never had, and the daughter he's never had, relationship with, everything is wonderful, and then all of a sudden, the bottom falls out. And then, of course, it deals with the ultimate thing. What happens when you have the ultimate dilemma of how to handle a family situation. And that gives the drama to the picture.
I'm going to disconnect your air machine, and you're going to go to sleep. Then I'll give you a shot, and you'll stay asleep. Kushla means my darling, my blood.
This is the beginning of the film's concluding flashback, most of it shot on the studio backlot.
Hey, can we stop just up here?
Yeah.
This place has the best lemon pie around.
None of that canned filling crap.
Car came in here. It was a night, of course, and then we drove right by, and then you pan over, and you saw the little restaurant right there.
Now I can die and go to heaven.
So this is it. It looks a lot different now. This cabin and this lake have been used in many, many pictures. And the shot you're making right now is sort of the last shot of the picture where we go through the window that's frosted and we see Frankie. Maybe he owns the place. Maybe he just is having lemon meringue pie. We don't know. He's disappeared somewhere into the world after she dies.
What we know is that Clint never stops. He's made 5 movies since Million Dollar Baby. Like most of the characters he plays, he's a working man, a hard-working man.